I read previously that you said some people who are active in the Republican Party had come to you or suggested to you. Can you tell us some of those people who you consulted with and what they were telling you at the time?
They were colleagues of mine that I've worked with from the beginning since I've moved back to the county to practice law. One being, I could give you an example, Bruce Phillips. Another being John Rogers. They're very close friends of mine. This is a time of change in our area. We're trying to bring in new faces. We're trying to eliminate the corruption, the black cloud over our county. And when I saw that no one stepped up, no one decided to run for district attorney on the Republican side, I decided I was going to step up.
And I want to go quickly, if I may, through a bit of your educational background. You're a graduate of Dallas High School?
Yes, I am a proud graduate.
Then you went to Temple University, pursuing a degree in business administration and marketing?
Correct.
Okay. Then you went to Michigan, Thomas Cooley Law School?
Correct. I actually did an internship with a Supreme Court judge in Philadelphia, Norma Shapiro. And did an internship after my 4th year at Temple University, and realized this is the route I want to take.
Have you ever had aspirations to be an assistant DA?
I actually was an intern with the DA's office for a little while, and learned about it and did some stuff in the office. But when I moved on to work with Attorney Panovich, I decided that I was getting the experience in that regard as well. So I decided that that would probably, at that point in time, would be my best move. Because honestly as well, I want to emphasize that right now, well, at the time, it was hard to find a job. So as an assistant district attorney, there wasn't any openings.
Well, can you tell us what types of activities you were involved in with his firm, first of all, before you started your own? What kind of law? Can you give us an overview of what you were doing at that time?
With Jerry's firm? Well, I actually wasn't really employed with his firm, so I just want to make that clear. But I would do civil complaints, civil trials, work with him on that. I would do criminal DUIs. I would do Social Security. I would do family, divorce, child support, real estate closings. I also did inheritance tax. There's just so much that I really did a lot.
Okay. And then immediately then you decided to start your own practice?
Correct, when I passed the bar.
Okay. You've also been an associate of another attorney in the area, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Tell us about that relationship and what you do there.
After working, opening my own private practice, I was, when you first start out, you struggle a little, and I looked to other attorneys, and especially people that would be mentors to me in the area. And one would be Robert Panovich. He, from the first day I met him, I believe it was in December of 2009, it was, we sat down and had a meeting, and I told him that I was I was interested in possibly working with him. And then I started working with him full time. I do insurance defense with him, but his firm also does a little bit of everything as well. You tend to see that in law firms. With criminal, and once again, DUIs, you have obviously the civil insurance defense. You have, what I'm working on now are wills and durable powers of attorneys. I also do inheritance taxes, so we do a little bit there, and I also have my private practice as well. He allowed me to keep my private practice, which I do all of it again. I have two parents that own successful businesses in the area, and I grew up with that. And I grew up managing businesses. I grew up hiring staff. I grew up just around that atmosphere. And I
think we're talking about a staff of 67. They've got 10 detectives, about 30 ADAs. Do you have experience in management or leadership roles throughout, your educational background or your career?
Yes, I do. I worked with, like I said, with my family businesses, and have overseen staff, hiring of staff, firing of staff. I've overseen managing the schedules. I've done payroll. I've done all of that. So I do have that experience. I have that managerial experience and administrative experience.
Is that with both the small lenders and the Majestic, your dad and father's business?
With Majestic, and he also owns a gas station in the Back Mountain area.
I think some voters might see your youth and relative inexperience relative to the other candidate in for this office as a drawback. But how do you respond to that? What's your...
I'd like to tell people that they should look at my youth. They should my youth should be a positive thing. I think we need, I say, a breath of fresh air. I think we need new faces in, and we need to get rid of the people that were in the office when this occurred, the people that were running the offices. And we have begun to do that. We have begun to change our county. Look at the new form of government. I would never have imagined that to happen, but because people want a change, this is what they elected, this is what they voted on, and finally their voices are coming out, and we're finally listening to them. And we have 6 new judges coming in, and everything's going to change. And I think one last area is the district attorney's office, and I believe that we need to pretty much go in and sweep out, and I want to say that I will bring a fresh perspective to the office. I'm not scared to change things up, and I think that's what we need at this point. Well, at this point, there isn't much that's being said about me. Besides the inexperience, and of course, what I like to say to people, it's the elephant in the room, my youth and my inexperience. I want to emphasize that I'm a litigator. I know that I've been practicing just over 2 years, but I'm in and out of the courtrooms. I'm doing this on a daily basis. I have about 50 to 100 cases sitting in my office right now that I'm working at as we speak. People don't know that about me. They look at me and they think I'm young. I don't know what I'm doing. But that's not true. I manage my office. I handle as many cases as I can. And I want people to know that about me. I want them to know that I do have that experience. Yes, I may not have gone in front of a jury. I may not have tried a case. But I'm ready to hit the ground running. I'm ready to jump in. And I will try the same, if not more, cases than the current district attorney that tried in her first 4 years as the first assistant under Lupus, and I would try as many or more as she tried in the past 4 years as district attorney. I am not afraid to do that. And as I'm going off, I'm losing my train of thought, but like like we all do. But I just want to emphasize, I do have that experience, and I want people to know that about me. I also want to emphasize as well, going back to youth, I want people to look at me, especially the young generation of our county, I want them to look at me and use me as a role model. I want the youth to get more involved. I think it's imperative they get more involved. I think for too long we're told that we can't do it, we're too young, we don't have the ideas that other people may have. And I turn around and I say, well, look at Steve Jobs. He was a teenager when he started Apple. And look at the guy that started Facebook. He was 20 years old, I believe it was. We have this passion, we have this energy, we are capable of doing this, and I want my generation to know that, and I want them to step forward. Too many people, and this is another thing that I talk to a lot of people about when I knock on doors. They say, it's nice to see the youth getting involved, and they turn to me and say, well, my kids left the area. My kids couldn't stay here. And that's sad to me. I did have opportunities other places, but I chose to come home, and I wanted to make a difference here. And that's what I want other people to do. I want them to stay in the area, and I want them to feel the same way. And I hope that I can be a role model to the youth. And I like to emphasize that I'm so proud to be part of the young Republicans, and I'm so proud to see the young Democrats getting involved in this race. It is nice to see people of my generation just getting involved. So I just want to applaud them, and I hope it continues. I hope it's just not for this short period of time. So I just wanted to emphasize that was one of my biggest concerns with this area is youth involvement.
Can you give us a sense of your experience in the courtroom? Have you tried criminal cases, civil cases to verdicts?
I have not tried any criminal cases, and I also have not tried any civil cases. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but typically civil cases, it's very rare that you actually go to trial. I have gone right up to the point of going to trial, and then we settle the case. So that's the problem. I am experienced, I'm a litigator. I am at least once a week doing depositions, preparing for depositions. I'm preparing summary judgment motions. I'm preparing to go to trial. I prepare for and have conducted mediations and arbitrations. I have prepared briefs. I could go on. I've also, on top of doing all of that with my firm as well as Attorney Panovich's firm, I also do work for the county as well. I've argued for termination of parental rights and have gone in front of the Superior Court and have filed briefs to the Superior Court as well.
If elected, would you be inclined to personally prosecute cases, or don't you think that would fit the role? Do you feel that the DA's job is more of a manager?
I do feel that I will prosecute cases. I believe, actually, it's Jerry Cohen that always said, to keep on top of things, you should, and for people to actually look up to you and believe that you are a good boss, you should be in the courtroom. And I believe in that. I believe that, yes, the district attorney should try cases. But you have to remember as well that the district attorney is more of an administrative role. So I wouldn't be trying as many cases because I would have the very experienced staff that are there to try the cases. And that's exactly how the past district attorneys have done it as well.
If you were elected, would you get rid of the ADAs and the staff there?
No, I want to say that that is not what I'm looking towards. I believe we have a lot of wonderful, wonderful prosecutors in that office. So it's not that I would get in there and clean house. I believe that the people that were in charge at the time that should have been overseeing what had occurred and didn't step up because they actually had the power to step up and voice their opinion. You have assistant district attorneys, some of them are new. Some of them are new in the office, and if they would have stepped up to the judge, that was former Judge Chivarella that was doing this to the juveniles, then they may have lost their job. That may have ruined their career in the county. So I want to emphasize that I do believe there are a lot of very, very wonderful, experienced attorneys in that office.
Now, based on some of the things on your website and some of the things that you've already said here today, it's your contention that the Luzerne County District Attorney's Office was allowed the abuses to continue in the courthouse, or complicit in some way? I'm not sure if complicit is the word, but allowed the abuse to happen?
What happened at the time and the violation of the juveniles in our area, their basic constitutional rights, all of that, in my opinion, could have been stopped. It could have been stopped if the current district attorney just stepped foot into the courtroom and saw what was going on. She claims she did not have a clue as to what was going on, but her job was to oversee what was going on in the juvenile courtrooms. And she admitted to never doing that, never stepping foot. Justice Eakin of the Supreme Court said, where was she? Where was she? She had fallen at the time. And that's where it comes into the administrative role. As the administrator, you're supposed to oversee all areas of your office. And that was not done. And that's incompetency in my eyes. And if this happened to someone else in a different office, in a different business, do you think that person would still be in that office, would still be in the position that they were in after the violation of juveniles' rights?
I'm trying to recite what the interbranch commission said, because it didn't recommend that. I think it recommended it actually complimented her at one point, but I just don't have it in front of me. I'm frustrated I don't have it.
The interbranch commission report, I would have to disagree. They actually at one point said that she was uninterested, not concerned in what was going on in the juvenile courtrooms. And that should not have been. She stood by and abdicated her responsibilities, and that's what they focused on.
I believe some of those programs exist, like the mentoring program.
That have been, they've started to implement them, correct. And the youth panels,
right.
They've started to do that. But nothing to, I believe there should be more of an emphasis on it.
And I think you touched a little bit on this earlier when you said you'd like to see more specialty within the office, but do you have other ideas for operating the office, for exploring new projects, new programs?
I believe that we should have more of a presence in southern Luzerne County. I think that southern Luzerne County is always left out. They're always considered what they call the red-headed stepchild. I think that shouldn't be the case. That maybe, and this, once again, until I get in there, I can't be certain of what I can do, but I'd like to see that maybe we could have ADAs down there more often, or maybe have possibly motions court in southern Luzerne County. I also, I don't know if you guys know, but one of my emphasis is on the death penalty as well. I am pro-death penalty, but I believe that we have been wasteful with the death penalty because, like you said, we need to be more fiscally responsible, especially these days. With the death penalty, I'd like to put together a panel of, say, judges, retired judges, possibly one or two citizens, ADAs, have them sit down and review the evidence that's before them and see if the death penalty should be sought. And then, of course, the district attorney would have the final say. But instead of jumping in and saying we're gonna seek the death penalty, which costs hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' dollars, it would go in front of multiple people to say this is a good idea, or maybe we shouldn't go this way, maybe we should seek life imprisonment. I believe that would also cut down on the amount of spending that has been going on.
Are there cases that you think that the office should not have gone for the death penalty?
At this point, I don't want to comment on that, just because I don't have the ins and outs of those cases, and I don't have the specific evidence that was brought forward in those cases. But we have tried, I believe it was over 10 cases, and have had 0 convictions. And that's, like I said, one case you seek the death penalty for costs the taxpayers hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Was there something in your career or that led you to have the pro-death penalty position on things? Was there, what brought you there?
That's an interesting question, because I honestly never even, I never sat down and thought about it, but I've just always believed that someone that does such a crime should pay the cost. So that was just always something that I believed in. And I do want to emphasize as well that, like I said, the district attorney would have the final say, but if it's a particularly heinous crime, I possibly would have the final say in saying this is one I would seek the death penalty for. So I would look at the heinousness of the crimes as well.
We've heard from different sources that so much of the crime in Luzerne County is linked directly or indirectly to illegal drug use. What ideas do you have for combating that problem, for curbing the drug trade? Curbing the drug trade, getting a handle on the amount of crime that's based on the use of illegal drugs?
Just being tougher on crime. I think if we show that we are going to prosecute you, do this crime, and we are not going to let you go, and we are going to make an example out of you, then I believe that may try to curb the escalating crime, drug use in the area. And once again, I honestly, until I get in and see what is going on in the office and what is being done in that area, I will not have a better answer for you.
It doesn't feel like we have a reputation of being soft on drug use. So I'm not sure how you could be more tough. I mean, it seems like we've been tough for 10, 15 years. I don't think anybody's under the impression that I don't think that's stopped people using drugs so far, so I guess what would be different?
Well, I guess it would just be a continuation of being tough on crime. At this point, I really don't know what I would do, what they're implementing to even decide on what could be changed, what couldn't be changed. So until I get in there and see what they are doing and what possibly may be working and we should push more towards and be doing more of, or this isn't working, let's change this, let's do this, let's work more with the detectives, see what they recommend, let's get opinions from different people, different counties. I think when I could actually get in there and see what they're doing, then I'll have a better perspective on it.
One of the excerpts from your website, your campaign material, and you alluded to this earlier, is the fear, particularly among senior citizens in the area.
Correct.
Do you think that reflects reality in this community, or do you think that that's affected by popular culture and what they see on TV? I mean, do you have evidence of escalating crime and those types of things?
I don't on me have evidence of the escalating crimes. I just know that just from people confronting me and speaking to me, I don't believe you're probably referring to TV shows such as Law and Order or CSI and different shows like that where they believe that the crime would be escalating, but it's people that have actually gone through it themselves that have confronted me. Over the weekend, it was someone in Wilkes-Barre was just telling me about how they just had their door kicked in, and the people had to be watching them. He was gone for 45 minutes, and it's a daily routine. He says it's common in this area. People know that this is going to happen, and they have to be aware of that. And you have to watch what you do on a daily basis. You can't have the same routine. And he's learning all of that. So this is just through listening to people of the county and listening to what has gone on and happened to them in their lives.
Why should voters choose you over your opponent?
Because as I knock on the doors of our citizens, there is a common theme. They say all the time, people don't care about us. These elected officials have not cared. They're not listening to what we're saying. And I stood there and I said, I'm not going to ignore you. I want to hear what your concerns are. There are citizens, senior citizens, who are scared to leave their homes. I knocked on one door about a week ago, and the woman came out and she turned to me, she calmed down. It was like a sigh of relief. And I said, what's wrong? She said, I told my husband if I don't come back after answering this door, please call 911. And that stuck with me. There's this overwhelming feeling from the citizens that no one's looking out for their interests. And I want to say that I will protect them. I will stand up and serve them. And given that opportunity, I will not let them down.